Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mr. Yogi Channel. In this episode, we'll be diving into Atomic Habits by James Clear, a book about how small changes can lead to big results. We'll also explore insights from a scholarly review to get a deeper understanding of these concepts. As always, have your notes ready, and don't forget to write down any new vocabulary you come across. Let's get started.
All right, so we're diving into Atomic Habits today.
Sounds good.
This book by James Clear, it's all about tiny changes leading to big results.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got a great summary of it and even a whole research article that reviews it.
Wow.
Think of this deep dive as your cheat sheet for self-improvement.
I like that.
We're going to unlock those big wins hiding in small adjustments.
Absolutely. And the cool thing is Atomic Habits doesn't expect you to transform overnight.
Yeah.
It's all about these tiny gains, like just 1% improvement each day.
1%? That doesn't sound too exciting.
I know, right? But the book calls it the compound effect, and that's where things get interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's like compound interest, but for habits.
I'm listening.
Like, imagine a penny doubling every single day for a whole month.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like much at first, but by the end of the month,
Yeah.
the results are astounding.
Wow. Okay, so tiny changes, consistency, got it.
Exactly.
But there's this idea, the systems over goals. It's like flipping the script on self-improvement.
Yeah, it definitely challenges the way we usually think about it.
Right.
So instead of obsessing over that end goal...
Like losing weight or writing a book or whatever.
Exactly.
Atomic Habits is saying we should focus on building the right systems.
The daily habits that naturally lead to those outcomes.
So it's more about the journey than just the destination.
Exactly.
So like instead of stressing about writing an entire book, a writer should just focus on writing a page a day.
Yeah, that's a much less daunting way to think about it.
For sure.
Yeah.
What else does Atomic Habits say about creating these systems for success?
Well, it emphasizes the importance of shaping our identity.
Our identity.
Yeah, it's not just about wanting to be a runner.
It's about becoming one.
Exactly. You have to ask yourself, what would a runner do?
They would lace up their shoes and hit the pavement, rain or shine.
Exactly. Consistently, even when they don't feel like it.
So it's less about forcing ourselves to do something we think we should be doing.
And more about genuinely embodying the change we want to see.
So we're shifting from I'm trying to be to I am that person.
That's a really powerful distinction.
It is. And this leads us to the book's framework for building good habits and breaking bad ones.
The 4 laws of behavior change.
Oh yeah, those sound familiar.
They give us a practical roadmap for putting these ideas into action.
Okay, so let's break down these laws.
Sure.
The first one is make it obvious is right.
That's right.
It's all about making the cues for our good habits stand out.
Like literally putting your workout clothes by the bed if you want to exercise in the morning.
Right, or putting a book on your pillow if you want to read before bed.
Exactly. And Atomic Habits suggests taking it a step further with what's called habit stacking.
Habit stacking, what's that?
Well, it's basically linking a new habit to an existing one.
So piggybacking off an already established routine.
Precisely. For example, if you always make coffee first thing in the morning,
Yeah, I do.
you could add a quick meditation or stretching routine right after.
I like that.
It makes it much more likely that you'll actually do it.
Yeah, it takes the thinking out of it.
Exactly. So make it obvious. Check.
What's the next law?
Well, the next one is make it attractive.
Make it attractive.
Yeah, it plays on our natural tendency to gravitate towards things we enjoy.
So pairing a desired habit with something we genuinely like.
Exactly, like temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. I've never heard of that.
It's all about combining something you want to do with something you need to do.
Okay.
Say you love listening to podcasts but struggle to find time for exercise.
Yeah, that's me.
You could bundle those 2 activities together.
You mean only allow myself to listen to my favorite podcast while exercising?
Exactly. Suddenly hitting the gym becomes much more appealing.
Ooh, that's a good strategy.
Right. It makes those initially less than thrilling tasks so much more enticing.
I like it. So we've got make it obvious and make it attractive.
Uh-huh.
What's the third law all about?
The third law is make it easy.
Make it easy.
Yeah, and it's all about reducing friction and making the desired action as effortless as possible.
So like meal prepping on Sunday so you don't have to cook every night after work.
Exactly. One technique that Atomic Habits highlights is the 2-minute rule.
Oh, the 2-minute rule. I've heard of that.
It's all about breaking down those daunting tasks into tiny, manageable actions.
So instead of aiming for a full 30-minute workout,
You commit to just putting on your workout clothes.
Yeah. And often just taking that first tiny step is enough to get the ball rolling.
It's all about building momentum.
Exactly. We've all had those moments where once we actually start something,
Yeah.
it's not as bad as we thought it would be, and we end up doing more than we initially planned.
That's the beauty of it, by making the initial action simple and easy.
Or overcoming that inertia and increasing the likelihood of actually following through.
Right, so 3 laws down.
One to go. What's the final law in this framework for habit change?
The final law is make it satisfying.
Make it satisfying. That sounds important.
It is. It taps into our brain's reward system.
Our brain is hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, right?
Exactly. So it's about associating positive feelings with our desired habits.
Okay, so how do we actually make habits more satisfying? Is it as simple as rewarding ourselves with a treat after completing a task?
While external rewards can be helpful, Atomic Habits emphasizes the power of intrinsic satisfaction.
Intrinsic satisfaction.
One way to achieve this is by tracking our progress, even those small wins.
So like checking things off a to-do list.
Yeah, seeing those check marks or an upward trend on a graph, it can be incredibly motivating.
It gives us tangible evidence of our progress.
It reinforces those positive feelings associated with the habit and encourages us to keep going.
That makes a lot of sense.
And another aspect of making habits satisfying is ensuring they align with our core values and identity.
So it's not just about checking boxes on a to-do list.
It's about doing things that make us feel good about ourselves, about who we are becoming.
Wow, that's pretty profound.
It's about aligning our habits with our desired self-image and creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful.
I like that. So we've covered the 4 laws of behavior change.
Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
They seem so simple.
But when used strategically,
Yeah,
they can be incredibly powerful.
absolutely. And Atomic Habits doesn't just present these laws in isolation.
Right.
It weaves them together,
It shows how they interact and reinforce each other.
creating this comprehensive framework for habit formation.
Exactly.
So we've laid a solid foundation here. We've explored the compound effect, the importance of systems over goals, shaping our identity, and the powerful 4 laws of behavior change.
All that great stuff.
But there's still so much more to uncover. So we've covered a lot of ground already, exploring atomic habits and all these fascinating ideas about tiny changes leading to big results. But now I'm thinking about the long game.
The long game.
Yeah, how do we make these changes stick?
Yeah.
You know, we've all been there starting strong with a new habit, all gung-ho, and then poof, it fizzles out after a few weeks.
The classic struggle.
Exactly. What does Atomic Habits say about overcoming that challenge? You know, actually making these changes last.
Well, one thing it emphasizes is that it's not about being perfect.
Okay, that's a relief.
Life happens, we get busy, we slip up, it's inevitable.
So it's not about beating ourselves up for those inevitable slip-ups.
Exactly.
It's more about getting back on track as soon as possible.
Right. Damage control almost.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of thinking, oh no, I blew it, it's
Yeah.
more like, okay, I got off track, but I'm jumping right back on it tomorrow.
Consistency over time, not perfection in every single moment.
I like that. So does the book offer any specific strategies for bouncing back from those moments?
From those moments when we stray from our habits.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Clear introduces this rule, the never miss twice rule.
Never miss twice.
It's so simple but so effective.
Okay, I'm listening.
Basically, if you miss your habit one day, don't let it happen 2 days in a row.
Okay.
It's all about preventing those isolated incidents from snowballing into full-blown relapses.
That makes sense.
Right. It's manageable.
Totally. And speaking of consistency, I remember Atomic Habits talks about this interesting concept called Kaizen,
Kaizen, yes.
the Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, even once we've built a solid habit, we don't just coast.
We keep striving to make our systems just a little bit better, even when we feel like we found a good rhythm.
So always tweaking, refining, optimizing.
Exactly. It's crucial for preventing plateaus and keeping things engaging.
So what does Kaizen look like in practice? Are we talking about making huge overhauls to our systems all the time?
Not at all. It's about those small incremental improvements.
Small tweaks that add up over time.
Exactly. It could be as simple as adding an extra set to your workout.
Or reading for 5 more minutes each day.
Or trying a new healthy recipe each week.
It's like always pushing those boundaries, even if it's just by a tiny margin.
Exactly. That's how you stay motivated and avoid getting stuck.
I like that. And Atomic Habits connects this Kaizen philosophy back to the importance of identity, right?
It does. It argues that to truly maintain habits in the long run, we need to shift our focus
Shift our focus from what to what?
from outcomes to embodying the identity associated with those outcomes.
So instead of just wanting to lose weight,
You start thinking of yourself as a healthy individual.
right, someone who makes choices that support their well-being.
Exactly. Instead of aiming to write a book,
You see yourself as a writer who makes time for writing each day.
precisely, it's about aligning our actions with our desired self-image.
It's not just about intellectually agreeing with a concept or desiring a certain outcome.
It's about actually embodying that identity and letting it guide our actions.
That's a powerful distinction.
Atomic Habits even uses the example of voting.
Voting?
Yeah, people who identify as voters
Are far more likely to actually vote.
than those who simply believe voting is important.
It's like they're living it, not just thinking about it.
And as we make those small changes,
Track our progress and reinforce our desired identity.
we start to build momentum.
And Atomic Habits calls this.
The plateau of latent potential.
Okay, so even if we don't see those drastic changes right away,
We need to trust the process.
keep showing up.
Keep making those small improvements.
Keep reinforcing that desired identity.
It's like we're laying the groundwork for something truly remarkable to emerge.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. So to make these tiny changes last, we need to embrace the never miss twice rule, incorporate the philosophy of Kaizen,
Yes.
and maybe most importantly,
Most importantly,
align our habits with our desired identity.
that's the key.
It's a powerful combination of tools and mindset shifts.
It is. And as you reflect on all of this, what's resonated most with you personally?
What's really hitting home for me is that we're not just changing our actions, we're shaping our identity through these small, consistent habits.
It's profound, isn't it?
It really is. It's like we're sculpting our future selves one tiny choice at a time.
Exactly.
And we're not done yet.
There's one more crucial piece of the puzzle.
Oh, there is.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll dive into the often overlooked influence of our environment on our habits.
Okay, can't wait. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Atomic Habits.
It's been a great discussion
It has. We've been talking about all these fascinating ideas.
about the power of tiny changes, consistency, shaping our identity.
Exactly. But now it's time to explore something that I think often gets overlooked when we talk about changing our habits.
What's that?
The impact of our environment.
Ah, yes. Our surroundings play a huge role.
It's easy to think about habits as purely a matter of willpower, you know?
Right, like it's all about self-discipline.
Yeah, but Atomic Habits really highlights how much our surroundings actually influence our behaviors,
It's true, we're constantly responding to cues in our environment.
sometimes without even realizing it.
Exactly.
We've all had those moments where you just mindlessly grab your phone the second it buzzes,
Oh, yeah.
even if you're in the middle of something important,
Or you walk into the kitchen and automatically open the fridge.
even though you weren't even hungry.
It's like our environment is pulling our strings, making us act in certain ways.
It really is. So what does Atomic Habits suggest we do about this?
Well, the book suggests that if we want to break a bad habit,
Yeah.
one of the most effective strategies is to make the cue for that habit less obvious.
Maybe get less obvious. Okay.
For example, if constantly checking your phone is a problem,
Which it is for a lot of us.
try putting your phone in another room.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. Turn off those notifications, maybe even use an app blocker.
So it's about removing the temptation, making it less readily available.
Exactly. And the opposite is true for building good habits.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, if you want to read more, make sure there's always a book within reach.
Okay.
Want to eat healthier? Stock your fridge with fresh fruits and veggies?
And put those tempting snacks in a less accessible spot.
Exactly. It's all about setting ourselves up for success
By designing an environment that supports our desired habits.
rather than constantly battling temptation.
We're making the desired action the path of least resistance.
Exactly. It's not just about our physical environment either.
Oh, right. Atomic Habits talks about our social environment, too.
Yes. The people we surround ourselves with.
It's like we tend to adopt the habits of the people we spend the most time with.
Think about it.
If all your friends are constantly ordering takeout,
Yeah.
it's much harder to resist that temptation yourself.
But if your social circle is all about cooking healthy meals together, well,
That becomes your norm.
exactly.
So we're all influenced by the invisible scripts of the groups we belong to.
We unconsciously adopt the behaviors and beliefs of those around us.
So what do we do about that?
Well, Atomic Habits encourages us to be mindful of those influences.
Okay.
It's not about abandoning your friends or family if they don't share your goals,
Right.
but it's about being aware of those social dynamics and seeking out communities that support your aspirations.
So join a running club, find a book club, connect with online groups that share your interest.
Exactly. You're actively shaping your social environment to align with your desired identity.
And the habits you want to cultivate.
Precisely. It's recognizing that we're not isolated individuals,
We're part of a larger ecosystem,
and by consciously choosing the environments we inhabit,
both physical and social.
we can create a space where positive change can flourish.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Atomic Habits, it seems like one of the big takeaways is this,
What's that?
that building better habits isn't just about individual willpower.
There's so much more to it.
It's about understanding the powerful influence of our environment.
And strategically shaping it to support our goals.
It's recognizing that we have more control than we think.
Yeah, we can design our surroundings, curate our social circles, and really create an ecosystem.
That makes it easier to adopt those tiny changes that lead to big results.
Exactly.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
It has.
We've explored so many fascinating ideas from Atomic Habits.
The power of small changes, systems over goals, the impact of our environment.
And so much more.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
But I do feel equipped with a whole new perspective on how to approach self-improvement.
That's great to hear.
And as we all continue on our own journeys of personal growth,
Yeah.
I think the biggest message to take away from Atomic Habits is this:
What's that?
that change is possible.
It is.
One small step at a time.
One tiny change at a time.
Even seemingly insignificant adjustments can lead to remarkable transformations.
So what's one small change you can make in your environment today to support your goals?
It's a great question for all of us to consider.
Remember, even the smallest adjustments can make a world of difference.
That's right. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Atomic Habits.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling inspired to make some positive changes in your own life.
Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Or perhaps a single atomic habit.
That wraps up our discussion on Atomic Habits by James Clear, along with insights from a scholarly review. Hopefully, you've gained valuable takeaways on how small habits can lead to big changes in your life. As always, don't forget to write down any new vocabulary you learned today and try using it in your daily conversations. Thanks for listening. Keep learning, keep growing, and see you in the next episode.